There are things you know for years that you want to say, you want to share, even understanding that that might ruffle some feathers. And then one day, you just wake up and you realize that you're finally ready. You're ready to say that out loud, to share. Not because you want to provoke anything or expose anyone, but because staying silent would feel like abandoning something. So it no longer feels honest. So that's exactly where I am right now, and maybe you are as well if you came across that video. So I'm about to share something real. I shared in a previous video that I recently finished writing a book, something I wanted to do for a really long time, but I never forced it. And then finally when it came very quickly to my surprise. But now I realize it was because the knowledge behind it had been there for years. I remember I would start writing and then I would stop, and I actually almost gave up on that idea. But then suddenly just something shifted in me, and I was no longer able to hold what has been coming through me, and I finished it so quickly that I don't even realize how it is possible. This book is rooted in my lived first-hand experience working for high-growth startups and global tech companies in Silicon Valley, and the ethical tension that I have experienced there. Not so much in a technical way, but as a product designer, as a human being who sat in the rooms where decisions were made that would affect millions of people who would have never been able to sit and to be present and speak for themselves. So in this book, I'm sharing what it feels like to be within environments driven by incentives, speed, scale, money, and not so much by people's goals, hopes, and aspirations, and what it is that they're trying to accomplish for themselves. I am going to be honest. This book does not spill the tea. It does not name any companies. It does not reveal any personal confidential information. It does not expose any individuals or internal details. But it does explore the patterns, incentives, trade-offs, pressures that shape products and decisions over time. I'll put it this way. And it also shares what it feels like to be the only person in the room who constantly keeps asking, but what does it mean for the people on the other side of the screen? What value does it bring to their lives? Is it going to help them to achieve their goal? Or why are we building this? For much of my career, I found myself advocating, sometimes gently, sometimes persistently, for the people who were not present. People have always been at the heart of my work. That has been the main reason why I decided to transition into tech and product design specifically in the first place. That was helping people achieve their goals, big or small, to help improve their lives in any possible way, to help translate complexity into clarity, and overall help people accomplish their goals, their dreams, their desires. That has always fascinated me, and I've always been driven by this ability to uplift others and help them in any possible way. But sometimes in those companies, advocating for people felt like being the only awake person in a room that had fallen asleep and just wouldn't wake up no matter what you say. And it's not because people are bad, it's because systems are training us to stop feeling what we're doing. It's about thinking, it's about rationalizing, intellectualizing everything. There are so many dynamics that makes us close our hearts and move us to our mind, where ego lives, where we're trying to explain, rationalize everything. I'm not saying that it's always a battle versus your mind and your heart. They are not competing. The idea is that they should be working together closely. They should be connected. That's all about the balance, about the unity. But unfortunately, life does not always work that way. And over time, contemplating and experiencing these dynamics create this inner tension in you, and you feel that there is something that is no longer in alignment. Writing this book wasn't about burning bridges or calling anyone out. It was about me trying to make sense of my own experience with honesty and integrity. And I did my best trying to be mindful and very intentional about how I shared my reflections, being careful, restrained, and grounded in responsibility. Because there is something very profound that I've realized, which is that truth does not need to be loud to be real. And because for me, integrity is about speaking your truth without harming, but still refusing to pretend like nothing happened. Of course, sharing something like this comes with fear. Not because of doing something wrong, but because of visibility that comes with it. Visibility that you might not yet be fully ready for. I know my coworkers are going to read it. I know that certain people are going to project their assumptions onto it and create their stories, and that's fine. But I also do know and realize that truth that is shared carefully and with good intention does not need to be loud or aggressive to matter. And maybe that resonates with someone because you've also carried things that you lived through. Stories, insights, experiences that you feel that you're afraid to share. Not because they're dramatic, but because they are real, raw, honest, complex. Because you know that they might affect lives of other people, people that you may still care about. So if that truly resonates, I hope it feels like permission, not pressure, to trust your own timing and know that you can still share your truth carefully. You can still set boundaries, because what's been placed on your heart does not disappear because you stay silent. It waits for the right time. And maybe the right time is now.